Hello and welcome to the Minutes to Win It podcast. I'm Big Italy 42. He is Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. We're talking about some situations for tonight's slate now, the fourth day of NBA action, and we've already had two small slates, so this is the second decent-sized slate we've seen. We're talking about some injuries, some guys that were out, some guys that are now back in, some rotations as well. So starting off with a guy returning from injury, Kelly Olynyk, and this is a guy that's now it's going to be a close game. This game, 202.5 point total. Boston favored by 2. This is a really crowded front court though for Boston. I mean, really the entire roster is pretty deep. So really with Kelly Olynyk back, it's not a situation that I really want any part of, especially in cash games. There's just so much depth here, and we really never know what Brad Stevens is going to do from night to night. I mean, we've seen this before with him where he gets a guy with a hot hand and he sees 35 minutes, next guy sees 8. I mean, it's just really hard to predict. I still think Brad Stevens is a genius, but that's not a good thing for DFS purposes where you have so much uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy, he knows the game for basketball, but unfortunately for us, it doesn't really work out well in fantasy because, he's not playing out there, guys, 35 minutes, even if it's not working out. So, but I mean, looking through the minutes here, I mean, only Jay Crowder, Marcus Smart, and Avery Bradley played over 30, and it was barely over 30 last game. The front court is just way too crowded. Amir Johnson played 20 minutes, Sullinger 21, David Lee 22, Zeller 11. Now you're adding Olynyk into that. It's just such a tricky front court. I would feel safe about Isaiah Thomas, though. I mean, the guy's a scorer, especially for tournaments because he can put up points in bunches. And for a guy who rides a hot hand, Thomas would be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Thomas do this time and time again. And his price, after a 42.9 fantasy point game on FanDuel, only went up $200. I mean, still only saw 29 minutes, but that's what we're going to see from him is the 28 to 32 at most range, really. So I'm with you there. That's the one guy I'm targeting from that game. Kelly Olynyk, love him or hate him, I'm not a chance I'm playing him. Next guy, rookie coming in, Karl Anthony Towns. This is a nice game to look at some DFS values. 210.5 point total. Minnesota favored by 4. Towns had a hell of a debut there with 14 and 12 points, or 14 points, 12 boards against the Lakers, 26.9 fantasy points. So this is a guy that's a huge presence down low. And in case you're not familiar with this, though, Denver terrible in the front court, as we know. Really no good defenders down there. They've got a lot of athleticism, but that's about it. And Towns, this may look again like a situation of when he was in college, and it's like men against boys because Towns is probably going to feast down there tonight.
Yeah, I'm expecting a bigger night from him, especially against the Denver front court. Played 32 minutes against the Lakers. I think that's pretty solid for where he's going to be for the rest of the season. I mean, he seems to be a pretty good focal point of the offense, and we were talking earlier about Ricky Rubio setting up players, and he's really one of the best in the league at doing so. So you got to like this game for offense, and there's a lot of value here.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good situation to look at. Next up, we're going to look at the Portland Trailblazers. Obviously, big changes in the offseason with LaMarcus Aldridge gone, Wesley Matthews, Nicholas Batum all gone. Damian Lillard, the guy that everyone was looking at, myself included, who was about 1,000,000% owned in cash games that first night. And he did well, 21, 5, and 11 in 36 minutes. That's about probably what we expect as far as minutes-wise, 36. That's probably a performance we're going to see a lot of this season, the 40 to 45 points. Price is starting to creep up already. Over 9,000, but the guys we're really looking at here, starting off with CJ McCollum, who, I mean, if there was a best debut by any player this year, and I mean, by debut, I mean this season debut, not career debut, but 37 minutes, 37 points, 6 rebounds and assists, a steal. You're obviously not expecting him to shoot lights out every game, but the great thing about him is, and especially because this is the Minutes podcast, 37 minutes, and this game did get out of hand for a little while. It was around 20-point game. We saw some guys resting, but CJ McCollum just stayed in the game almost up until the very end there. So encouraging there that he's going to see some garbage time, and you got to take advantage of this price before it gets too high because it was $5,200 the other day on FanDuel. Now it's $6,000, and that's still a steal at that price.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably slotting him in every one of my lineups tonight. Not chasing the points, but it's going to be a fast tempo game back and forth. He's going to get his, and like you said, I'm getting this price while I can because he's going to be up there around Butler, Oladipo at some point soon. and then it's going to get tricky. Shooting guard's going to become very ugly again.
Yeah. So as long as we can get good values there, we're taking them. And then another Portland player, Myers Leonard, stepping into a bigger role, obviously, with some of those guys gone. 34 minutes in the last game against New Orleans, 12-8-3, 28 points on FanDuel. He's still reasonably priced, $4,500 on DraftKings, $5,000 on FanDuel. So if you're looking for a value center in this matchup against Phoenix, that, as we know, up-tempo type of game, Myers Leonard can shoot threes. He's a decent passer. He can rebound. He's a guy that I think is going to have some value here for a little while as well, because there's really not a lot of options in this Portland offense. But, I mean, he played very well, and, I mean, the minutes there are huge at his price.
Yeah, I think we were looking, last Wednesday against, just the guards, but I think Portland as a team's in play because, like Myers Leonard, I also like Ed Davis tonight, played 29 minutes, 12 and 11 game. Really like him on DraftKings with that double-double bonus, because he doesn't do much else. He can block shots, but that's something I really count on each night.
Yeah, absolutely. And then next up, talking about the Golden State front court, Andrew Bogut got a head to the face and left the court bleeding all over the place and has a concussion now. So obviously he's not going to play. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the front court with these guys. Obviously you got Festus Ezeli, $3,500 absolute minimum at center on FanDuel. You've got Murray Spates, who we've seen this many times. Hopefully people don't overreact to this. Spates is never a guy that's going to get upper 20s, 30 minutes. I mean, he's going to be the guy that hovers around 20 at absolute best. He's a high usage guy, but even with Bogut out, I just don't see any way he really sees maybe more than 20 to 22 at the most.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Ezeli's probably the play if you're going to go anywhere. But, I mean, he's probably not going to see any more than 25 minutes either, so you got to hope he gets his in that time. Risky play, but for bare minimum, I mean, why not?
Yeah, and he's got to hope he stays out of foul trouble because obviously matching up with Dwight Howard, who, another thing, he will be returning tonight. So not quite so thin in that front court there for Houston. So we'll use that transitioning over to the Houston side where we saw Clint Capella, Terrence Jones both as popular value plays last game. And they played well. I mean, Capella, in 25 minutes he played 9 and 7 with 3 blocks, 2 steals. That's a fine performance there. Don't expect him to see a ton. Probably not even that many minutes now with Howard back. But Terrence Jones, you got to imagine, as long as Modi Yunus is out, he's still going to see a decent amount of minutes. And really, I think the only reason he only played 29 this last game was the early foul trouble. And then Harrell came off the bench, played well for a few minutes, but Harrell went from a tiny bit of potential with Howard out to completely none. But I'm still fine with Terrence Jones, though, at his price.
Yeah, Terrence Jones is probably the only front court guy I'm looking for Houston, probably actually this entire year. I'm not a big Howard fan. I think there's better centers in the league with his injury problems. So I think Jones is the play. 6,000 on FanDuel, not a bad price for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we got you a little bit of a nice head start to your Friday research with some minutes discussion here. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Lots of other great NBA and NFL content at dailyfantasycafe.com.